G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English, and in today's episode I'm going to be teaching you the expression on cloud nine. So as I said guys, today's expression is on cloud nine, to be on cloud nine. The definition of on cloud nine is to be in a blissful state, in a state of real happiness, in blissful happiness, to be incredibly ecstatic, euphoric, to feel really good. If I define the words in this sentence, obviously the word 9, you know that this is the number after 8 and before 10, number 9. And the word cloud is a visible mass of condensed water, vapor floating in the sky. So everyone knows what a cloud is. If you look up in the sky and you see those white masses, those white fluffy objects floating around in the sky, out of which rain comes, thunder comes out, lightning comes out, those are clouds. Rain clouds, storm clouds, clouds. So if you're on cloud nine, this means that you are obviously in a state of blissful happiness, and in my mind I imagine sitting on a cloud. The number's kind of irrelevant, but to be on that cloud and just be like, yes, you know, incredibly happy, ecstatic, euphoric, blissful, to be on cloud nine. So it originates from the mid-1930s. When I was looking this up, I thought it was actually going to be quite older, but the 1930s, so not even 100 years old. And it was actually used in many different ways. There were different ways of saying to be on cloud nine, especially using just different numbers. They would say to be on cloud 7, to be on cloud 8, as well as to be on cloud 9. And I even think they used to be on cloud 36 when I was looking this up. And it started being used in popular music towards the end of the 20th century. So towards the end of the 1980s, there was an album by the English musician George Harrison called Cloud Nine, and I think there had been a few other songs as well in the 60s and 70s by other musicians that had also been called Cloud Nine. And from what I was reading, this is part of the reason they think that the phrase became pretty much always to be on cloud nine. So since the 1980s, cloud nine became the predominant expression. So everyone will know what to be on cloud nine is, whether you're in America, Australia, England, Canada, New Zealand. It's something that's used everywhere in the English-speaking world. So let's go through some examples, guys. So if you're on cloud nine, example number 1, imagine that you are a new couple. So you're a man or a woman and you have just found a partner. You've fallen madly in love. You couldn't be happier. You see each other every day. You're obsessed with one another. You're incredibly happy when you're together. You could say that that couple, those two people, are on cloud nine. I'm on cloud nine when I'm with this person. We're on cloud nine. The idea of them being on cloud nine is that they are blissfully happy. They're incredibly pumped. They're just obsessed with one another, ecstatic, euphoric. They're blissfully happy. Example number 2. Imagine that someone goes to see their favorite band at a concert. So imagine you're seeing some Australian bands like maybe AC/DC or the Hunters and Collectors, and this is your favorite band. You're absolutely obsessed with these guys, and when you get to see them live, which means you get to go to a gig, you get to see them on stage and they're playing music. Whenever you go, you absolutely love it, and whilst you're there, your favorite song comes on. So imagine they start playing your favorite song, you've had a few beers, you're feeling amazing, you're in the mosh pit, you know, you're dancing around, your favorite song comes on, you could say, oh, I am on cloud nine. I am on cloud nine. This is my song, I'm with my friends, I'm having a beer, I'm seeing my favorite band, I am on cloud nine. I couldn't be happier. I am blissfully happy. A third example could be maybe a couple has just had their first child. So they've been pregnant, or she's been pregnant, obviously, for 9 months, and they've been getting more and more excited as it's been leading up to the day where they were going to have the baby. and they've gone to hospital. The wife's waters have broken, so she's about to deliver the baby. They go through the process of the delivery, or well, she goes through the process of delivery while the husband stands by and watches the whole process and just tries to help. She gives birth to the baby, everything's good, the baby's healthy. You could say after that the couple, the parents, the two people were on cloud nine. They couldn't be happier. They have just had their first child. They're ecstatic, they're euphoric, they're blissfully happy. They are on cloud nine. So hopefully you understand now how to use the expression to be on cloud nine, guys. This is definitely one that I would recommend using, and just say it anytime you are really, really happy about something, to explain that you literally couldn't be happier about whatever it is that you may be talking about in conversation. So as usual, guys, we'll go through a quick substitution exercise at the end here so that you can practice your pronunciation of Australian English, and also learn and use the expression that we just went over. And I'm going to use this sentence, I'm so blissfully happy. And then I want you to substitute in on cloud nine for blissfully happy and say, I'm on cloud nine. So I'm going to go through all of the different pronouns, I, you, he, she, we, and they. I'm going to use contractions. So I'm going to say I'm, your, he, she's, and I'm going to substitute in on cloud nine for blissfully happy. So don't worry too much though, guys, about memorizing all of this stuff. Just keep going over it, practice your pronunciation, and it'll become subconscious and you'll just remember these different phrases and they'll pop up in conversations without you having to think too much. So let's go. I'm so blissfully happy. I'm on cloud nine. You're so blissfully happy. You're on cloud nine. He's so blissfully happy. He's on cloud nine. She's so blissfully happy. She's on cloud nine. We're so blissfully happy. We're on cloud nine. They're so blissfully happy. They're on cloud nine. One thing to mention here, guys, you may or may not have noticed, when I say I'm on cloud nine, you're on cloud nine, he's on cloud nine, she's on cloud nine, we're on cloud nine, or they're on cloud nine, you'll really hear me bounce from I'm, your, he, she's, we're, there onto on. What do I mean by this? So, because the word on starts with a vowel, the O, on, and the end of I'm, your, he, she's, where, and there all ends with a consonant sound, at least in the most case there. Where and there doesn't when spoken, but if followed by a vowel and there's an R in there, we pronounce the R. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at, what I'm trying to talk about is the fact that you'll hear me insert a consonant before the word on to make it flow. So instead of saying I'm on, you're going to hear me say I'm on. So I'm really saying mon. I'm on. With you're on, I'm not going to have that you're on, that space, I'm going to say you're on. So you'll hear me insert the R there. This is a very Australian thing. You're on. You're on. We're on. They're on. And the R disappears when there's a consonant next. So in the case of you're so blissfully happy, you're going to hear you're so. There's no R. You're so. You're on. We're so. We're on. They're so. They're on. And then in the case of she's and he's, obviously, if it's followed by so, he's and she's ends with an S and so begins with an S, so it's he's so, she's so. But then when the S is removed and there's just the O there, we turn it into he's on, she's on. So it's almost a Z sound. He's on, she's on. He's on, she's on. Anyway, that's just one little thing for you guys to go back and try and notice when you do this exercise. Treat it as a listen and repeat exercise if you just want to practice your pronunciation, and particularly nail those liaisons, they're called liaisons, where you're linking the two words, I'm and on, I'm on, he's on, she's on, you're on, we're on, they're on, etc. Go back and practice those and try and use these elsewhere in Australian English. If you're trying to learn the Australian English way of pronouncing these words and our accent, anytime a word ends in an R or an R sound, or an R would be the last consonant in that word, and the following word starts with a vowel, in order to more easily say those words, you add the R sound in. We're on, they're on, you're on. So that's just one more thing to think about when you're learning Australian English, guys. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, guys. I hope it's left you on cloud nine. I hope you're ecstatic, euphoric. I hope you're pumped. I hope you're excited. I hope you're blissfully happy. And I'll see you in the next episode. All the best, guys.